In New York City, there's a foolproof way to kill someone and get away with it. Use a car. On December 8th, Wenne Alton Davis was crossing Broadway with the walk signal when a driver made an illegal turn and killed her. The driver went home that night. No arrest, no charges, no consequences. She had the right of way. She did everything right, and the law doesn't care. How is vehicular homicide not a crime? Subscribe to Crazy Crime Lures to find out why drivers who kill pedestrians almost never face justice. Wenne Alton Davis wasn't a household name, but she was doing what thousands of actors in New York do, building a career one role at a time while working a steady job to pay the bills. She was 60 years old, originally from Durham, North Carolina, and lived in Forest Hills, Queens. She worked security at JFK International Airport, which gave her the stability to pursue acting without the constant panic about rent. Her IMDb page shows appearances on New Amsterdam, American Odyssey, Blindspot, and Girls 5 Eva. In 2023, she played a police officer in an episode of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, the hit Amazon Prime series about a female comedian in the 1950s. These weren't starring roles, but they were real. She was working. She was building something. Hours before she died, Davis told her neighbors something that still haunts them. "I love you. I appreciate you." The neighbor later said it felt like Davis was saying goodbye, though there was no reason to think anything was wrong. On the evening of December 8th, Davis was in Midtown Manhattan, near Radio City Music Hall and the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree. The streets were packed with holiday tourists. She approached the intersection of Broadway and West 53rd Street around 9 p.m. What happened next would end her life and expose a system that treats pedestrian deaths as acceptable collateral damage. The intersection of Broadway and West 53rd is controlled by traffic signals. When Davis reached the crosswalk, she had the pedestrian walk signal. Legally, she had the right of way. Drivers were required to yield. A 61-year-old man driving a 2023 Cadillac XT6 SUV was heading in the opposite direction. He decided to make a left turn across Broadway. To complete that turn, he had to cross directly through the crosswalk where Davis was walking. He didn't stop. He didn't yield. He turned directly into her. The Cadillac struck Davis in the crosswalk. Witnesses in one of the busiest tourist areas in Manhattan saw the impact. The force of the collision caused severe head trauma and catastrophic body injuries. She collapsed in the street. Emergency services arrived within minutes. Paramedics transported Davis to Mount Sinai West Hospital, less than a mile away. Doctors tried to save her life. They couldn't. Wenne Alton Davis was pronounced dead at the hospital. The driver did not flee. He remained at the scene and spoke with police. According to the NYPD, he cooperated with officers. He provided his account of what happened. Then he left. No handcuffs, no arrest, no charges. The NYPD Highway District Collision Investigation Squad took over the case. This is the unit that handles serious and fatal traffic collisions in New York City. Investigators documented the scene, interviewed witnesses, and reviewed any available camera footage from nearby businesses or traffic cameras. They confirmed what witnesses saw. Davis had the walk signal. She had the right of way. She was crossing legally. The driver made an illegal turn and killed her. And then the driver went home. What would you have done if you witnessed this? Let us know in the comments. The NYPD has not released the driver's name. He is 61 years old. He drives a late-model luxury SUV. He has not been charged with any crime. That's all the public knows. Under New York law, the police do not have to release the names of people involved in traffic collisions unless they are charged with a crime. So the man who killed Wenne Alton Davis remains anonymous, while her name and face are plastered across the internet. But here's what makes this case bigger than one driver. This happens constantly in New York City. In 2024, 255 people were killed in traffic collisions in New York City. 64 of them were pedestrians. That's one pedestrian death every 5.5 days. The majority of those deaths involved drivers who were turning, speeding, or running red lights. Very few were charged. New York has a law called the Right of Way Law, passed in 2014. It makes it a crime for drivers to yield to pedestrians who have the right of way if that failure causes serious injury or death. The maximum penalty is 30 days in jail and a $500 fine, 30 days, $500, for killing someone. But even that minimal penalty is rarely enforced. According to transportation safety advocates, the NYPD and district attorneys rarely bring charges under this law. Why? Because prosecutors argue they need to prove the driver acted recklessly, not just negligently. Turning left into a pedestrian you didn't see? That's negligence. Not checking your blind spot before you turn? Also negligence. And negligence in the eyes of New York law enforcement usually isn't enough. So drivers kill pedestrians who have the right of way, express remorse, say they didn't see the victim, and walk away. This isn't about one bad driver. This is about a system that has decided pedestrian deaths are the cost of keeping traffic moving. The story of Wenne Alton Davis's death spread quickly. Entertainment outlets picked it up because of her acting work. Local New York news covered it because it happened near Rockefeller Center during the holiday season, and then the comments started flooding in. The driver needs to be charged. He turned left into her when she had the walk signal. How is this not vehicular manslaughter? Another pedestrian death in NYC, and nothing will happen to the driver. As usual. If I punched someone and they died, I'd be arrested immediately. But if I hit them with a car, I get to go home? These aren't fringe opinions. They're the response from everyday people who understand that something is deeply wrong with how traffic deaths are handled in America. Transportation safety advocates have been screaming about this for years. Groups like Transportation Alternatives and Families for Safe Streets, an organization made up of people who have lost loved ones to traffic violence, argue that the term accident is a lie. When a driver breaks the law and kills someone, that's not an accident, that's a crime. But law enforcement disagrees. The NYPD continues to use the word accident in press releases. District attorneys continue to decline prosecution in cases where drivers claim they didn't see the victim, and drivers continue to kill pedestrians without facing consequences. In Davis's case, the investigation remains open. The NYPD has said the Highway District Collision Investigation Squad is still reviewing evidence. But as days turn into weeks, the likelihood of charges decreases. Witnesses move on, memories fade, and the bureaucratic machinery that protects drivers grinds forward. Here's the question no one at the NYPD will answer. If a driver making an illegal left turn kills a pedestrian who has the right of way, and that pedestrian did absolutely nothing wrong, what more evidence do you need? Let's talk about why drivers almost never face charges in cases like this. First, there's the burden of proof. In New York, vehicular manslaughter requires proving the driver acted recklessly. Reckless means the driver knew their actions, created a substantial risk of death or serious injury, and did it anyway. Racing through a red light at 70 miles per hour? Reckless. Driving drunk? Reckless. Making a left turn without checking for pedestrians? Not reckless, just negligent. Negligence means you screwed up. Recklessness means you knew you were creating danger and didn't care. That distinction protects drivers who kill people through carelessness. Second, there's the right-of-way law. It sounds strong. If you fail to yield and kill someone, you face criminal penalties. But in practice, it's almost never used. Prosecutors say it's hard to prove. Defense attorneys argue their clients made an honest mistake. Judges are reluctant to send people to jail for traffic infractions. And so the law sits on the books, useless. Third, there's the culture of the NYPD itself. Traffic enforcement in New York City is notoriously lax. Drivers routinely block crosswalks, run red lights, and speed through residential neighborhoods without consequences. The NYPD issues fewer traffic tickets now than it did a decade ago. Officers are told to focus on real crime, not traffic violations. And when drivers kill pedestrians, the default response is sympathy for the driver. It could happen to anyone. They didn't mean to do it. Imagine how they must feel. But imagine how Wenne Alton Davis felt when a 2-ton SUV slammed into her body. Imagine how her family feels knowing the man who killed her is walking free. Do you think the driver should be charged? Drop your thoughts in the comments. As of today, the investigation into Wenne Alton Davis's death remains open. The NYPD has not announced any updates. The district attorney's office has not commented. The driver has not been named or charged. Davis's death is being mourned by friends, family, and colleagues in the acting community. Her IMDb page has become a memorial, with people leaving tributes to her work and her spirit. But beyond the personal grief, her death has reignited a conversation about pedestrian safety in New York City. Advocacy groups are pointing to Davis's case as yet another example of a broken system. Transportation Alternatives released a statement calling for immediate reforms to how traffic deaths are investigated and prosecuted. Families for Safe Streets, the organization of people who have lost loved ones to traffic violence, is demanding the NYPD and district attorneys treat these deaths as the serious crimes they are. But change is slow. New York City Mayor Eric Adams has promised to make streets safer, but traffic deaths remain stubbornly high. The NYPD continues to under-enforce traffic laws, and drivers continue to kill pedestrians without facing meaningful consequences. The intersection of Broadway and West 53rd Street, where Davis was killed, remains open. Tourists still cross there every day. Drivers still make illegal left turns. And somewhere in New York City, another pedestrian will be struck by a driver who didn't look, didn't care, or didn't think the rules applied to them. Wenne Alton Davis spent her life working towards something. She balanced a security job with her passion for acting. She built a career, one small role at a time. She told her neighbors she loved and appreciated them just hours before she died. And then a driver made a turn without looking, and her life ended. The driver is home tonight. Wenne Alton Davis is not. This case isn't just about one woman or one driver. It's about a country that has decided cars matter more than people. Every year, over 40,000 people die in traffic collisions in the United States. Thousands of them are pedestrians. The vast majority of those deaths involve drivers who broke traffic laws, speeding, running lights, failing to yield, driving distracted. And the vast majority of those drivers face no criminal charges. We've normalized this. We call them accidents, as if no one is responsible. We express sympathy for drivers who made a mistake, as if killing someone is equivalent to spilling coffee. We tell pedestrians to be more careful, as if being in a legal crosswalk with the walk signal isn't careful enough. Wenne Alton Davis did everything right. She crossed at a controlled intersection. She had the walk signal. She had the right of way, and a driver killed her anyway. If this case results in charges, it will be a rare exception. If it results in meaningful penalties, it will be a miracle. And if it results in systemic change to how traffic deaths are treated in New York City, it will be because people refuse to accept that this is just how things are. What do we learn from a death this preventable? That the law protects the wrong people, that justice depends on what weapon you use, and that until we start treating traffic violence as violence, the deaths will continue. Thanks for watching. If this case made you angry, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Next week, we're covering another case where the system failed. You won't want to miss it.